Well, I don't think anyone can disagree that the two best sides are playing the Champions Trophy final in Dubai. I, for one, thought South Africa might have got over New Zealand as they came into the tournament in great form, but New Zealand were outstanding last night in Lahore. Batting first, 2 centuries. Rachin Ravindra was superb. He looked like he was playing on an absolute road. Kane Williamson got better and better as the innings progressed. 2 superb hundreds. A bit of cream on top from Glenn Phillips at the end, and New Zealand got a huge total of 362. South Africa looked pretty good at the halfway mark, or just before that. Rassie van der Dusen looked in great touch. And then leading into that match, Mitch Santner came on, took the wicket of van der Dusen, then took Klaasen and co. He got 3 wickets in a short space of time. The game turned, and Captain Mitch Santner was certainly the man to do that with the ball. New Zealand won pretty convincingly. A special mention for David Miller, who got a fighting 100 at the end. Wasn't enough chasing such a huge score, but they certainly never gave up right through to the end. India, in their semi-final against Australia, they were too good. On the back of a Virat Kohli chasing masterclass, we know how good he is in terms of chasing a target, being able to navigate his side to a victory. We saw another example of that. And then with Hardik Pandya and KL Rahul at the back end with the finishing touches. So all-round good performance from India. They've been the only unbeaten side to arrive at this final. New Zealand just the one loss to India in Dubai, but both sides I think will arrive with a level of confidence heading into the final. Now there are some key attributes of this final that have been talked about a lot in the media and social media. A lot of pundits have had their say about the fact India's travel, haven't had to travel a huge amount. For me, in a number of years' time, when you look at who won the 2025 Champions Trophy, there's no caveats. There's no stars next to it. There's no asterisks in terms of reasons why. There's only one name written on the trophy, and both of these sides will think they've got a good chance of being that team that will win. I can guarantee you New Zealand will not be complaining about the travel they've had to make or so forth. They've been fortunate they have played the one game at Dubai Stadium. Sure, the pitch will be different, but they are used to surroundings. And New Zealand have another chance to back up the 2000 Champions Trophy win with another one in a day or two's time. Now, I'm going to go through the sides in a moment, but firstly, we'll talk about Dubai Stadium and the attributes that they have. I, for one, thought there would be a little bit more dew at this ground at this time of year. Fortunately, there hasn't been. Therefore, the toss is actually not a big factor. And I think that's great. Heading into a Champions Trophy final, you're not worried about who wins the toss. And certainly if you're an Indian fan and the fact Rohit Sharma has lost 14 in a row, it's not something you're going to lose a whole heap of sleep over. I think at the toss, from a tactical point of view, New Zealand will want to bat first. And they will want to do what they did against South Africa in the semi-final. The reason why I say that is because of this man here, Varun Chakravarti. He got 5 wickets against New Zealand in the last round robin game, or pool game. He bowled under lights. Now for me, if you're facing a mystery spinner for the first time, and Varun has got a very fast arm at release, so you don't have a huge amount of time to see the point of release. So therefore you rely on other cues. And if you're facing him at night, you get less of a look. So I think Varun Chakravarti will be a huge threat for New Zealand if he's bowling again under lights. He will still be a threat during the day, but slightly less so because you'll be able to pick up the release and the seam of the ball as it's coming down a little bit easier than you can under lights. So I think that'll be a factor they will consider. They'll also want to get runs on the board in a final and then try and squeeze India and create some pressure. Now the other side of that is that'll probably be not too much of a worry from India's perspective. They are chasing experts. They've got so many match winners through their side. This man here is called the chase master for a reason. His record chasing is exceptional. Out of 105 wins for India chasing, he averages over 80. So, it's pretty clear that he doesn't mind batting second. And we saw another masterclass the other night in terms of manoeuvring the ball around. The pitch, regardless of which one they play on, it will be slow. It will look like it's dry. There might be a little bit more grass on it. There might not, depending on which one they choose, but it will be slow. And I don't think it will change a huge amount throughout the day. Now, even if there's not dew, there's still, under lights, there still becomes a little sheen on the surface, which lets the ball skid on a little bit better. Okay. Obviously, if there is dew, that sheen becomes bigger, and therefore the ball slides on better, and it's easier to chase under lights. I haven't really seen that a huge amount at the Dubai Stadium. So I think it's an excellent venue to be playing where it will be even regardless of whether you're batting or bowling first. I don't think it'll be a huge disadvantage. It'll be purely a tactical thing around what you want to do individually, whether you prefer batting first or chasing. Pressure of expectations. I think they're both at different ends of the scale. The expectation from the Indian public is that India will win. And that in itself brings a huge amount of pressure in terms of, they are expected to be the better side. They probably are. They have more match winners than pretty much any team in the world. But it's a two-horse race now. There are two very good sides in the final, and no matter if you're favourite, it doesn't really mean anything heading into a final. So New Zealand will arrive with confidence, but also huge respect for the quality of the Indian 11. In terms of tactics, I think India will go in with the same team that they did the last two matches. So this is the same playing 11 that they played against New Zealand, where Chakravarti came in for Harshit. I think the only possible change they could make would be Harshit for Kuldeep if they thought the surface had enough pace and bounce in it. Personally, I don't think they will. I think they will stick to that side. And the other reason for that is that during the previous two games, Shami and Hardik haven't had to bowl their full complement of 20 overs. So if there was a situation where Rohit Sharma was going, hey, I would love another couple of overs of seam, then they might consider the likes of Harshit, and I think Kuldeep would be the one to miss out. Kuldeep is an outstanding bowler, but his record in ICC events is not that impressive. Certainly compared to his bilateral series, his ICC numbers are not as impressive. So that would be the only change, but I don't think they'll do it. I think against New Zealand, they'll go with a four-pronged spin attack. For me, Shubman Gill, he hasn't been hugely amongst the runs, and I think he's more suited to surfaces that have a little bit more pace in them, but we know that his technique stands up to anything. From a New Zealand point of view, a little bit worried about Rohit Sharma. He's looked good the last couple of innings, hasn't got that big score yet so far in the tournament. He's the sort of guy that loves the big occasion, so don't be surprised if Rohit Sharma goes out and bangs a big score. Virat Kohli, how much more can you say about the man? He is an absolute genius, not just chasing. We've alluded to that. He has entered this tournament not in great touch. I talked about the fact leading up to the tournament he did some extra work behind the scenes. He knows how to perform under pressure. He's done it time and time again. And as I said, we saw a masterclass the other day about how to manoeuvre the ball on a slow surface. The matchup that he has against Mitchell Santner will be interesting. And I think New Zealand will like to introduce Mitch Santner early to Virat. It's not necessarily a matter of spinning the ball past the outside edge. It's probably trying to squeeze him so that he makes a mistake. And I think that's part of what New Zealand's tactics will be. Shreyas Iyer was exceptional against New Zealand in that partnership with Akshar Patel. And I think having the left-hander up there in the middle is smart, particularly on the dry surface of Dubai. I think New Zealand should have noticed Akshar looking to sweep early against them, which they did in the game 2 games ago. I think both Bracewell and Santner have got to look for that straight Yorker early. So obviously when someone's looking to go down and lap early, there's a hole in the swing which is about this far from the popping crease where you can't actually access the ball. There was a couple of occasions in the first few balls that Akshar faced of the left-arm spinner in the game against New Zealand last time where he's just managed to access the ball because the ball wasn't quite full enough. I think look out for the LBW against Akshar, as I said, with the full Yorker early on. Shreyas will take on the off-spinner of Bracewell, so I'm really interested to see when Santner uses him because the other advantage of Akshar coming in is that Santner thinks he can introduce Bracewell, and that suits the matchup of Shreyas Iyer, who absolutely loves taking down off-spin, and Bracewell struggled against Shreyas in the last match. So I think Santner's got to continue to use Rachin Ravindra while Shreyas Iyer is out there. Maybe he can use some overs of himself, but get through some other overs of left-arm spin because Akshar's equally competent against the off-spin, but it's more the matchup of Shreyas that is a concern from New Zealand's point of view. KL Rahul looks in excellent form at the moment. His keeping's been good too. He did miss a couple of catches the other day against New Zealand, but generally he looks in good space behind the wickets with the gloves, and batting-wise he's highly confident. Hardik Pandya, his bowling has stepped up, and the only reason why Rohit Sharma can play the two-seamers here is that he has a huge amount of confidence in Hardik Pandya to be able to bowl at least 3 spells. He will bowl with a new ball. It might be a short spell before Varun comes in, but he can bowl there. He's got plenty of confidence with the ball, and we saw in the runner ball 45 that he got against New Zealand. It was impressive, and then he also got a score in the semi-final against Australia as well, where he almost got India over the line. So he's in good touch and confident. That allows India to bat deep. It allows to have Jadoo at 8, so the depth of batting is strong. Jadeja becomes twice the bowler on a surface that holds. If the ball starts to turn, as we saw with the wicket of Latham trying to sweep him, as soon as he can straighten the ball off the surface, Jadeja becomes a real threat to both the right-handers and the left-handers. So, as I said, the 4-pronged spinners, Akshar, Jadeja, I would think Kuldeep and Chakravarti are no doubt the biggest threat to New Zealand. Shami wasn't as impressive in the last match against New Zealand with the new ball, but we know that if he gets it right, he can take the top off any international side. As I said, Harshit could come in, but I don't think he will. From a New Zealand point of view, I think the 11 is very settled. Will Young, obviously that incredible 100 that he got the first match of the tournament against Pakistan. He's kept his spot ahead of Devon Conway. New Zealand might consider Conway's skills against spin and might consider him bringing in, but I think that would be very, very harsh on someone like Will Young at this stage of the tournament. I don't think they'll do it, but it's something they'll consider. Rachin Ravindra, 5 ODI hundreds in ICC events in the last 18 months is unbelievable. Kane Williamson, I think, now has 4 against all of his ICC events. Some of New Zealand's greatest players have scored 1 or 2. So the fact Rachin has just played in 1.5 tournaments and has scored 500s shows that what an incredible player he is now, and also what an incredible player he could be in the years to come for New Zealand. Kane Williamson, another 100, starting to get better and better. The time he spent at the crease in Dubai will be invaluable heading into this game, because he is going to have to hold this innings together against those quality spinners from India. Daryl Mitchell hasn't really got going. He got 49 in the last match. Once again, wasn't quite at his fluent best, but he will be, you will see plenty of reverse laps. You will see him wanting to go down the wicket and go downtown against the spinners. India know that, so they're bowling more back of a length to him. So therefore, the reverse is going to be his get-out-of-jail shot. So expect to see that early. Mitchell could be the man that could add that extra impact for the Black Caps that they haven't really seen through their middle order from Mitchell so far. Latham, the left-hander, if the ball is turning, don't be surprised if he slots up in here at 4 instead of Mitchell. They had an opportunity to do that the other day and they didn't, but they might see that as an opportunity to break up these 3 left-handers here from 5 to 8. They might look at bringing Latham there and slotting Mitchell down one. That would be the only shift that I would see in that order. Tom Latham is New Zealand's best player of spin, along with Kane Williamson, so he's got a huge role to play, particularly against the likes of Akshar and Jadeja. Being a big sweeper, he did get out sweeping the other day, but don't expect that will slow him down in the slightest. Phillips will score mainly off the back foot, and he'll wait for that step hit off the spinners to go downtown, but expect him to sit deep in the crease and try and access the boundaries wide long on and add some real impetus to the innings of the Black Caps. Bracewell's main role will be with the ball, and I think the problem about him having as much involvement as he has in previous games, like Bangladesh where he got his 4 wickets, is the amount of right-handers. Gill, Rohit, Virat, Shreyas, KL, Hardik. So there's 6 of your first 7 all being right-handers. And although Bracewell can close down the angles and play more of a defensive role, Shreyas won't allow him to do that, KL won't allow him to do that, Hardik won't allow him to do that. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Santner uses Bracewell's overs in this final. Santner was outstanding in the semi-final and just continues to be under the radar as one of the best left-arm spinners in the world. In fact, being one of the best spinners in the world in ODI cricket. Often doesn't get talked about a lot in that echelon of spin bowlers, but he should. He is incredible and he very rarely has a poor day. Matt Henry is in the top 5 ODI bowlers in the world at the moment, and quite rightfully so. The conditions at Dubai won't suit his bowling. He did get 5 wickets there against India in the previous match, but it doesn't nibble around a huge amount. If it does, then he will exploit that with the length that he bowls. He certainly has the wood over Rohit Sharma as well, in terms of that one that nips back in, and he's also taken the outside edge as well. So the matchup between Henry and Rohit at the top and Henry and Shubman at the top will be critical. If New Zealand don't make early inroads with Jamieson and Henry, then it could be a tough day at the office from a bowling point of view. Jamieson has swung the new ball. Once again, that extra height. Him and O'Rourke will have to control the power play, and O'Rourke will be used more through those middle overs in terms of trying to attack the middle order with that back of a length stuff. But if there's not a lot of pace on the wicket, then he will be less effective than he would in some other surfaces. So, look, I've pretty much gone through the sides that I think will be playing the final, given some pretty in-depth information in terms of where I think they'll be used. I think it's an even game. I think India will go in as favourites. I don't think New Zealand will have a problem with that. India will have a huge expectation to win. New Zealand, it'll be about getting that monkey off the back. Haven't won a big white ball trophy since 2000. Made the final 2015, the final 2019. Got knocked out by India in the semi-final of the World Cup 2023. Can they go one better here? Really interested to hear your thoughts. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. I'm just starting this YouTube channel. You can also link to another video that I've done on Mitch Santner, which talks about his transition to the stage where he's at now. So, yeah, hope you're enjoying Coach Hesson's channel.